Hello friends of Tony's Little Garden, welcome to another video where today we will continue cultivating in our flower bed, bulb bed of autumn. In this case, we are going to plant and we will see everything necessary for the Muscari to grow, also known as Grape Hyacinth or Raceme Hyacinth. Although it is called Muscari, its most known name is Grape Hyacinth because of the purple color of its flowers. The truth is they are beautiful and remind me of my childhood. And the Sekagatat, the Muscari, is a perennial bulbous plant, as I mentioned before, and it is known for being quite resistant and its ability to spread quickly, making it ideal for our flower bed or our edible forest. The ideal time for planting, since they are autumn bulbs, is now in the autumn. In the northern hemisphere, between September and November, now we're in late autumn, so I'm a little behind, but it's okay. Well, the important thing is to give the plant time to develop roots for sprouting in spring. So first, choose our spot very well because it will be with us for a long time. The sun exposure this plant needs. It suits us very well because it thrives in full sun or partial shade. Even in warm climates, it appreciates some afternoon shade to prevent drying out too much. So in this bed next to the daffodils, which we saw in another video how to plant, will be the ideal spot. Also, the good thing is that since it tolerates partial shade now, we can use it as an auxiliary flower in our edible forest, at the base of fruit trees or our trees like other types of bulbous plants such as tulips, of which we also have a video on the channel that I leave you here. Another important and favorable point about the grape hyacinths is that it is a cold-resistant plant capable of withstanding temperatures below zero. It adapts very well to temperate and cold climates. Don't miss out because it is capable of resisting and surviving under the snow. Additionally, in spring with the mild warm temperatures, it begins to sprout and bloom. Regarding the soil, truth be told, the grape hyacinths is also an incredible plant since it can grow in poorer soils. Although ideally, they should be light and well-drained, rich in organic matter, and we must avoid at all times excessively clayey and compacted soils. And the only thing it really struggles with is an excess of moisture, so we must avoid very compacted or clayey soils. Therefore, we need to prepare the soil very well. It's especially important to aerate it properly and ensure there is no compaction. As we prepare the soil, it's interesting to add well-matured compost or manure. At this moment, I am not adding anything because we add it at the end of the summer when we remove the crops, and although, as I tell you, it is a plant that does not require excess nutrients, it doesn't hurt to leave a well-nourished and loose soil depending on how we want to plant it. We'll make a furrow in my case. I'm going to plant it in a line. But we can plant it however we want. There are people who prefer to do it like a very dense cluster of grape hyacinth cultivation, and from there it can develop. As I mentioned before, it is a plant that reproduces very easily, so we will quickly have a high sowing density. We will make a furrow about 8 or 10 centimeters approximately, which is how deep we will plant our grape hyacinths or muscari. And here we have the bulbs. As you see, the little tip has already started to germinate. That's not excessively good, but well, it's not bad either. The idea is that it hasn't germinated, and this one comes with little offshoots that next year will be new bulbs that we can transplant or that will germinate. Those is simply with the tip upwards and the roots downwards, we are going to plant it. The planting distance between one bulb and another would be about 10, approximately 12 centimeters. So let's start planting at that distance. If we want, as I said, a denser effect with pretty flowers, we can plant them closer together. But it's not necessary or advisable. But it's not necessary. If we wanted to add more than one line, we would make a separation of about 15 centimeters. So we can now start covering our bulbs like this with the loose soil without pressing. We already know it needs loose soil that drains very well because it doesn't handle waterlogging well. Perfect. Let's put the center to mark and know what we have. As always, after sowing or planting something, we will apply a very good initial watering to settle the soil and for our plants to start germinating. For that, before talking about watering, let me tell you that in the video description, I have left a link to a WhatsApp channel where I upload the videos I post each week. So if you have WhatsApp and feel like following me, there you have all the information. As I was saying regarding watering, it is a plant that needs moderate watering. We should not overwater as it can rot the bulbs. It is true that it likes moist soils, but we must be very careful with waterlogging. In fact, as a manat in our climate in autumn, it's not necessary to water. Simply if we see that it doesn't rain, we will water once a week or every 15 days, and when the cultivation comes to an end, once the flowers and leaves begin to dry, we must reduce or eliminate watering regarding pests that can affect. In our crop, the most aggressive and harmful would be snails and slugs, but also rodents regarding. So planting castor, now 19 castor bean in this bed will be a great idea. I have already told you in another video about the power of this plant to repel rodents. I will leave a link to the video in case you want to take a look. And the good thing about all these beautiful bulb flowers is that the maintenance tends to be, now during the winter, our bulb will start forming roots, and in the spring, it will begin to sprout. It is also important that we do not remove the leaves once the flowers wither, because it is the way the bulb collects to store energy to sprout again the following year. And really not much more. Remove wilted flowers or damaged leaves, monitor watering so we don't overdo it, and we will have some beautiful daffodils. And since I want to create a flower bed here, I'll tell you, as I mentioned earlier, that they pair very well with daffodils, tulips or crocuses, and low perennial plants like violets or the primroses. And regarding diseases, as we have already discussed throughout the video, we must be extremely careful with excess moisture so that the main diseases we can face are gray mold or bulbs rotting due to excess moisture. It usually happens or occurs more in temperate and rainy climates like mine than in other climates. But even so, we must be vigilant. So fellow gardeners, another crop we have in our orchard or garden, a very interesting crop for borders, for flower beds, or for the edible forest. So see you next Thursday on the La Huertina de Tony channel. Goodbye.